Thank you all for joining us this morning. We appreciate your participation in the Skilled Nursing Facility Quality Reporting Program Provider Training. We'll call it the SNF QRP training from now on. We have 300 people registered to join us here in the room today and about 2,000 who are participating online. So it's an important training, and essentially we're going to be covering the changes to the RAI manual and the MDS or Minimum Data Set 3.0 item sets, including, of course, the patient-driven payment model. Most of the focus today will be on the minimum data set and the RAI manual, and then tomorrow will be a specific focus on the patient-driven payment model. So a few things from a housekeeping perspective before we get started. We do have internet access available to you, so if you want internet access, the network to connect to is Sheridan Meeting, and the passcode for that network is all caps QRP 2019, and that's of course for the people who are joining us here in the room. Two other quick notices for people who are joining us in the room. You'll notice that a number of us are wearing lovely yellow shirts. We're the people who you go to if you need any assistance. So if you need any help or you need directions or you're wondering what's next, anyone in a yellow shirt would be more than happy to help you. Secondly, restrooms. So restrooms are located outside of these doors. You go immediately to the right, all the way at the end of the hall, and then take a right again, are a set of restrooms. There are restrooms on every level of the 3 levels. So this level, I think this is the mezzanine at any rate, and the 2 levels below this level. So that are the housekeeping. I'm going to go ahead and advance to our agenda for today. So again, today we're going to be doing an overview of the changes to the Resident Assessment Instrument Manual, or the RAI, and the Minimum Data Set 3.0 item sets. We'll also do an overview of the current SNF QRP measures. We'll be doing a reports enhancements presentation that will include a case study. And in that case study, we'll learn, and you'll have the opportunity to practice using some fictitious reports to draw some conclusions and look at how you can actually use those reports to drive quality improvements in your facilities. We'll then be looking at Nursing Home Compare, and we'll be taking a tour of the resources that are available to you on the SNF QRP website. And then we'll be wrapping up with the Section GG Functional Abilities and Goals presentation. To support you in those efforts, we've posted a number of materials onto the SNF QRP training webpage. So they're organized in 4 parts. Basically, the May 2019 SNF QRP provider training, day 1, parts 1, 2, and 3, and then day 2. Unfortunately, we had a little technical snafu, so for a period of time yesterday, the one that was labeled Day 1, Part 1 was accidentally labeled Welcome. So hopefully that didn't throw anyone, but the presentations were all there. And then in those folders that I just mentioned on the website, if you open each one of them, there's a link for each of the 11 presentations that we'll be going through over the 2 days. And if you click on that presentation, then all of the materials that support that presentation are located in that particular subfolder. So for example, there's a subfolder that says Welcome and Introductions for day 1. Under that, you'll find the agenda for the 2 days, the full biographies of all of the presenters. You'll find an acronym list, an action plan, and I think that's primarily the materials in that one folder. But please use that structure, and again, for people who are participating online, it would be helpful for you to print out some of the materials that support the activities if you'll be viewing those activities or doing those activities yourself in your offices. For those who joined in person, you all got a packet, and in that packet, we did not print out every presentation, but we did put in the materials that you'll use in the exercises. And essentially, it's organized so that all of the supporting information for the day one presentations are in the left-hand pocket, and there's a little guide, and you'll notice that there's a little number on each of the handouts. And this is only for the participants in the room. So, for example, when we get to the SNF QRP reports enhancements and reports case study, you'll notice that the handouts that are numbered 6 through 10 actually support that particular presentation. And again, similarly, those same materials for people who are joining online would be in the subfolder for that particular presentation. Any questions about how that's organized before I move on? Okay. Well, it is my privilege and honor to be able to introduce today's presenters. We're very happy to have with us a number of experts joining us today. And I'm going to just give a quick overview, but again, if you're interested in seeing their full bios, those are, I think the handout labeled number 2 in your packets online, and again, it's in the welcome and introduction packets in front of you if you're here in person. And again, it's located in the Day 1, Part 1 materials for those who are participating online. So Terry Mata will be our first presenter today. Terry is joining us to provide an overview of the changes to the RAI manual and the MDS version 3.0 item sets. She has a BSN and is an associate scientist and nurse researcher at Apt Associates and has over 25 years experience in geriatric nursing in the long-term care setting. Earlier in her career, Terry worked as a CNA, a floor nurse, an MDS coordinator, and a clinical liaison in subacute care. She was also instrumental in implementing the MDS 3.0 and assisted in the development of the MDS 2.0, 3.0 trainings and manned both the MDS 2.0 and 3.0 help desks. So truly, she is an expert in the minimum data set. Just prior to coming to work at Apt, Terry worked with CMS as part of the Impact Act implementation team, where she served as a post-acute care subject matter expert in quality measure and standardized data assessment development, guidance manual development, data standardization, rule writing across post-acute care settings, and helping to set up the SNF QRP. Our second presenter today is Alice Smith, and she'll be covering a measure overview of the current SNF quality measures. Alice has more than 25 years also experience as a rehabilitation clinician and a manager in the healthcare industry. Her experience spans a variety of healthcare settings, including SNFs, long-term care, acute care, hospital-based inpatient rehabilitation unit, and an outpatient rehabilitation unit and home health care. Alice is currently a research public health analyst in the Quality Measure and Health Policy Program at RTI International, where she works on CMS projects related to the post-acute care setting, focusing on skilled nursing facilities. She is currently the lead for the SNF Quality Reporting Program Provider Help Desk, Communication, and Training. Our third presenter today will be Jen Pettis. Jen is currently the Associate Director of the Long-Term Care Program for Nurses Improving Care for Health System Elders, or the NICHE program, at the New York University Myers College of Nursing. In her role, Jen oversees the success of the long-term care program. Previously, she was a nurse researcher at Apt Associates, and she participated in data collection, analysis, and reporting of healthcare payment, quality improvement, and quality reporting initiatives, and provided technical assistance and training through a variety of post-acute care projects. She has extensive clinical, managerial, consulting, and training experience, including as a consultant to the Division of Nursing Homes at CMS. While at CMS, she provided the Division of Nursing Homes with subject matter expertise regarding the Resident Assessment Instrument, or the RAI, and a variety of clinical quality issues. She also developed and deployed the minimum data set focus survey pilot in 5 states. Our next presenter will be Deb Weiland. Deb is a BSN and is a nurse consultant in the Division of Chronic and Post-Acute Care at CMS. Prior to joining CMS, Deborah worked as a federal contractor, serving as the lead program manager on the Quality Improvement and Evaluation System contract, supporting 5 post-acute care assessment, submission, and processing systems, and downstream reporting of the data, including the Quality Reporting Program Quality Measures reports. Deb maintains her Resident Assessment Coordinator certification through the American Association of Nurse Assessment Coordinators. And then we have our two final presenters we have 3 final presenters, sorry. Are Casey Freeman, and Casey is with the Division of Chronic and Post-Acute Care at CMS. She'll be presenting on the SNF QRP resources, and at CMS, she serves as the SNF Quality Reporting Program Coordinator. She received her BSN from New York College of Pennsylvania School of Nursing in 1998, or from the York College of Pennsylvania School of Nursing in 1998. While practicing as a nurse in acute care, she completed a clinical nurse specialist program designed to prepare nurses to specialize in the use of evidence-based practice to improve patient outcomes and solve problems in healthcare systems. After serving as a research nurse with the Henry M. Jackson Foundation for the Advancement of Military Medicine and as a nursing instructor, she returned to York College and completed an adult nurse practitioner postmaster's certificate in 2011. Prior to transitioning to CMS, she practiced as a nurse practitioner, providing primary care for long-term residents in skilled nursing facilities. And next, we have Ann Deitch, who will be presenting on Section GG. Ann is a senior research and public health analyst with RTI International, and she is a part of the team that developed the Continuity Assessment and Record Evaluation tool and was involved in training data collectors and data analysis in the Medicare post-acute payment reform and demonstration. Ann has an appointment as a clinical research scientist at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago Center for Rehabilitation Outcomes Research. And our next and final presenter, Ann will be joined, and our apologies for missing this, by Manisha Das. Manisha is a research public health analyst with RTI International in the Quality Measurement and Healthy Policy Program within eHealth, within the eHealth Quality and Analytics Division. At RTI, she works on healthcare delivery and policy projects with a focus on quality measured and standardized data elements, including functional status collected in each post-acute care setting. She is part of the cross-setting help desk team answering questions for post-acute care providers and has over 5 years of experience as an occupational therapist in direct patient care in acute care hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, and private practice. Manisha also has a strong background in journalism, writing, and developing training materials, allowing her to contribute to the creation of new materials to help clinicians better understand and implement the Section GG data elements in post-acute care settings. So now for a little general information. First of all, you may have noticed that the pre-training materials that we posted do not contain answer slides. Consequently, we will be ultimately providing you with the answers during today's training, but we will also be posting post-training versions of the materials with the answers to all of the knowledge checks, polling slides, the rationale for the case studies, etc. All of those materials with answers ultimately will be posted to the Skilled Nursing Facility Quality Reporting Program training webpage, and Casey will show you exactly how to access them, but you've already found out how to access them to get the pre-training materials today. We also will be posting video recordings on the CMS YouTube site, and when all of those materials are posted, we will send you an email from the PAC training mailbox, just so you know that the materials have been posted and when to go and access them. Finally, we will be offering certificates of completion. Originally, we said we would not offer them to those who are participating online, but we got a number of comments from the online participants saying, gee, we're going to be participating in the 2-day training and we would like credit too. We had to figure out a way to validate that people actually were participating online for 2 days. So the way that we figured out how to do that is using our audience engagement tool, Slido. So it will be very important for anyone online who wants to get a certificate of completion to complete the following steps. We'll ask you momentarily to create a profile in Slido so that we can see who you are when you're submitting answers to the polling questions. And also, generally, we'll ask everyone in the room to create a profile in Slido so that we can make sure that when you post questions, if we're not sure what you exactly mean by your question, we have a way of following up with you via email to say, we're not quite sure what you meant by that question. Could you help us clarify that? Second requirement for those who would like to receive a certificate of completion for participating online, we'll be evaluating that you respond to about at least 80% of the polling questions. And we're going to practice some polling questions that don't count towards that 80% in a moment to give you an idea of what that experience is like. And then the final and third criteria to get a certificate of completion if you're participating online is at the end of the 2 days we'll send out a training evaluation, and there'll be a question that asks, do you want a certificate of completion? And if you indicate yes and have completed the other 2 criteria, then we'll be happy to email you a certificate of completion at the same time that we email certificates of completion to those who are attending in the room. And final question that we usually get is, are you offering CEUs? And the answer is no, we don't offer continuing education units. We found that most people find it most helpful to get that from their professional associations. So often you can take a certificate of completion along with the agenda for a training, submit it to your professional organization, and they potentially then will consider granting you continuing education units that are meaningful to you. All right, so now we are going to go into Slido. The first thing that we're going to do is just practice using the polling feature. So to do that, this is the time where in our emails to you, we said, please bring your cell phones, a laptop, some way of connecting to the internet. And again, for those who are joining online, you can perform the same activity from your desktop. So the first thing I need you to do is take out your phone or your laptop and just type in www.slido.com. And then when you've got that entered into the browser, you'll come to a screen that looks like the one that's being projected. And then we ask that you enter the event code Econometrica, and that's capital ECONOMETRICA. And if I could see by a show of hands, when people have accomplished those 2 things in the room. Okay, looks like the majority of people. I'm going to give the online people just another moment or 2 to complete the same activity. Then we're going to practice using Slido to answer some fun questions about Kansas City. Whoops. Okay. So to answer some fun questions about Kansas City, you'll see that there are 3 tabs across the top. Questions, ideas, and polls. You're going to want to, if you're using a cell phone, touch on polls or navigate to the polls tab. Okay, so our first question. Kansas City exists at the confluence of what 2 rivers? A, the Missouri and Mississippi. B, the Missouri and Kansas. You should be seeing it on your phone. Yes. And then C, Mississippi and Ohio, and D, Missouri and Colorado. So we have a lot of people answering. I'm seeing we're up to about 249 people responding, and the numbers still seem to be growing. Little bit of conflict between Missouri and Mississippi and Missouri and Kansas. And so I'm still seeing we're climbing with the numbers responding online. We're up to about 500 right now. Okay. So we'll leave that slide open for a little bit as people still continue to provide responses. But it looks like right now our leading contender is the Missouri and Mississippi, which is the answer that I thought it was. Unfortunately, we're going to see the correct answer now. Whoops. And we're switching back to our PowerPoint. And I will tell you that I was surprised to find out that the correct answer was, we'll go backwards, Missouri and Kansas. So I learned from this activity that there is a Kansas River. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So Kansas City claims to have more fountains than what city? Would it be A, Paris, B, Rome, C, Venice, or D, Madrid? And again, if we could switch to Slido. Okay, now we all have the opportunity to guess which the answer is. Oh my goodness, Rome is a leading contender. Okay, we're going to give everyone a chance online to respond as well. Looks like Venice is moving into second place. Not too many people are associating Madrid with fountains, I guess. And let's go ahead and see what the correct answer is. And so the correct answer is Rome. Yay! Okay, we're going to move on to our next question. So, Kansas City has an abundance of restaurants serving what cuisine? A, barbecue, B, Italian, C, Mexican, or D, German? Now, this could be one of those trick questions, like the Kansas River one was. But I'm not seeing that too many of you are fooled at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what the correct response is. And the correct response to this question is A, barbecue. All right. So now we're going to move into our next phase. And remember I said for asking questions, it's really important that we know who you are. So we're going to take a moment to have you all set up a profile in Slido. And again, this is critically important for those of you who are participating online that would like to get a certificate of completion. So you'll notice in the screen that's being projected, there's a little avatar that looks like a circle with shoulders or a head with shoulders. If you click on that avatar, you will come to a screen that allows you to enter your name, your company, and your email address. All 3 are very important, particularly the email address. So I am going to just see by a show of hands when people in the room have completed that activity. Then I'll give it another few seconds after I see the majority of hands go up for those people online to complete this activity. Okay. All right, now how about a show of hands, people who need more time? Okay, we'll give it just a few more seconds then. And then there is a button at the bottom, I believe it says submit. So once you've entered those 3 fields of information, if you would click submit, that would be great. Okay, so now if you're still on the polls tab, you need to navigate over to the questions tab. So there's 2 things we're going to ask for here. One, that you enter questions. So ideally, we'd like you to wait to ask your questions until the presentation that you have a question about. That is because often the presenters will answer your questions, and that will allow us really to focus on the questions that are burning that haven't been answered. The second thing that we're going to do is we use Slido to help us determine which of the questions are important to the most people in the room and online. And those are the questions that we're going to focus on answering first or responding to. So when we go in and add a question, you'll see that you have the opportunity to like questions. That's voting for a question. So rather than enter a duplicative question, it will help us to, again, prioritize which questions are the most important to the audience for you to like a question. So if you see a question already there that's similar to something you want to ask, it's better for you to like that question than to re-enter a duplicate question, because it's easier for us then to sort those questions and say these are the ones that are really important to the audience that we need to respond to. And 2 things about Q&A. We will do a Q&A at the end of the day tomorrow. The primary focus will be on the patient-driven payment model. If we have time, we will respond to questions regarding other sections. Otherwise, we'll take those most heavily voted questions and respond to them in a series of Q&A documents that will be posted to the SNF QRP training webpage. So it's important for you to get your questions in there. So, whoops, I'm going to not quite go there. So what I'd like you to do is just practice entering a question. It could be, what color is the sky today? What's the weather like? Just anything that allows you to enter a question. And then also, if you would practice over the next moment or two, liking a question. So if you see a question that somebody else asked that you like, just hit the like button and you'll see how those questions sort of float to the top based on the number of votes that they received. So I guess that's one other important thing to remember. When you're going to enter a question, kind of scroll through the questions, because I believe that the most liked ones float to the top. So you'll be using that throughout the session. Now, for those of you who are here in person and don't have access to an electronic device, it's great if you would partner with someone at your table who does. And if not, we do have question cards available to you, and you can use those question cards to write down a question, and then if you would bring them back to the tech table, and Ephraim in the yellow shirt back there will collect those questions and enter them for you. Okay, any questions about entering questions, polling, anything like that? Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the action plan. So in your folder under the Welcome and Introduction for Day online folder for the introduction in Day 1, or in your participant packet on the left-hand side, there's a document called the action plan. And we put that in the training packets so that you can write down ideas as you're listening to these presentations of, gosh, when I go back to my facility, in order to address this, I need to do these action steps. It may be a training-related action step. It may have something to do with, boy, we have some policies that might need to be reviewed, or we have some processes that might need to be reviewed. Or maybe I need to connect with my IT department to make sure that we actually are collecting this data. Whatever it is, just write it down, and that way when you go back, you'll have a plan in terms of how you're going to operationalize the changes to the MDS, the RAI guidance manual, or the implementation of the payment-driven patient-driven payment model. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Terry Mata, who's going to cover an overview of the changes to the RAI and the MDS.